In this time when people are restricted to go outside of their home and tend to even work in the comfort of our own shelter, we are pushing the power demand at its peak. How can people be assured that we have safe and reliable electricity supply? Let's find out as Daily Tribune's Chronicle presents National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, the Monster Within. It was the rotational brownouts that happened in Luzon last May and June that prompted the Energy Department and lawmakers at the Senate to launch an investigation against the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines for its apparent shortcomings in its obligation to provide sufficient levels of ancillary services or power reserves. These AS could be tapped in case of an unforeseen power plant shutdown, and running transmission lines at full capacity is not enough to prevent unannounced rotational brownouts. Based on the Grid Code of the Philippines, the NGCP, as the sole transmission operator in the country, shall be responsible for determining, acquiring, and dispatching the capacity needed to supply the required grid ancillary services to ensure that there will be no brownout, especially on occurrences of power plant outages. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi said it was in 2016 when he discovered that NGCP has no power reserves because it has not contracted any ancillary service, meaning the Luzon grid is susceptible to power outages when supply is lower than the power demand. Cusi then issued a department circular mandating the NGCP as the system operator to procure ancillary services through firm contracts. But the NGCP, with the monopoly of the country's power grid, refused to comply with its contracting requirement, as if flaunting its absolute monopoly and the seemingly favorable environment with the Energy Regulatory Commission, the energy watchdog supposed to regulate its operations. Proof of this is the expose bared by National Association of Electricity Consumers for Reforms Incorporated, National President Pete Ilagan alleging possible collusion between the ERC and NGCP. According to Ilagan, despite the DOE's circular, the NGCP and the Pagbilao Energy Corporation have still applied to a non-firm ancillary service last October 2020. Bowing to intense pressure from the DOE and the Senate investigation, the NGCP finally caves in, told regulators, and promised to follow its mandate to contract firm ancillary service power reserves. However, NGCP spokesperson Cynthia Alabanza warned that entering into firm contracts with backup power providers may result in a hike in power rates by 0.64 peso per kilowatt-hour in Luzon, 0.54 peso per kilowatt-hour in the Visayas, and 1.39 pesos per kilowatt-hour in Mindanao. This was quickly countered by Cusi, who pointed out NGCP's non-compliance with its AC obligations raised electricity rates to more than double. Figures are from an estimated 3 pesos per kilowatt-hour to 7 pesos per kilowatt-hour, he said. In addition, the NGCP is charging customers about 0.34 centavos per kilowatt-hour for the non-existing firm contracts with the AS, in contrast to a mere 0.30 pesos if there are actually AS that provide extra energy supply to avert outages. Other NGCP violations that have a profound negative impact on electricity consumers are the delays in power projects. The DOE showed that 71.05% or 27 of 38 projects with committed commercial operation dates are delayed. These projects could generate an additional 2,045 megawatts of power to the grid. As of June, there are 27 power plants with pending permits per agency, while another 16 power plants are still awaiting approval from various agencies. There are also incomplete transmission projects that prevent the power supply from other parts of the country from being delivered to areas with lower supplies. There is stranded power in Mindanao, Negros, and Zambales that accumulate and remain unused because of the congested or uncompleted transmission lines or projects. The energy chief insisted that NGCP plays a crucial role in ensuring that power reserves reach areas with offline power plants. And suppose the NGCP cannot comply with its mandates as a grid operator. In that case, through the National Transmission Corporation, the government should take over the system operations of the grid. As cliché as it may sound, every question has an answer, but still the country is left asking truths in every story there is. My name is Venice Bautista, and this has been Chronicles by Daily Tribune.